So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to the next installment of the top 25 albums of the year. And on this video, we have number 10 to number 6. So, yes, we're getting into my favorite records of the year. So, at number 10, I have another pop punk band, but this one has a lot of like emo into their sound. And it's a band that I discovered last year because of my friend Justin from Workers, and the band is called Real Friends, and the album is called Blue Hour. So yeah, here's the the album Blue Hour, and this is an album that has a lot of like emo and pop punk to it. I love the opener, I Was a Deer in Your Headlights, but also you have great tracks like Cold Blooded, A Place I Don't Think Exists, and the single Waiting Room is one of the best ones. It's all about feeling like, you're in a hospital and there's someone that you love that is almost dying. So it like the hospital feels more like a waiting room to see if they're going to make it. And the song, he talks about, like the clothes, giving away the clothes of the loved one, and it still smells like him, or cigarettes. So it's a great track, and also has amazing pop punk tracks like This Year Is Out to Get Me, Never Has Become Always, and When You Were Here. This is just my favorite pop punk album of the year. Slightly a little bit more than The Story so far. So those two records for me really did it in the pop punk world. So that's why I have that at my number 10. So coming in at number 9, I have a band that, a lot of people were dismissive of the last albums because even though they were good, they were more in the prog, but they have forgotten about growling. Yes, I'm talking about Opeth, because Opeth released an album almost like a few weeks ago. It was almost at the end of November, and it's The Last Will and Testament, which I did a full track album review with Wesley Negron from the band Moths. We went track through this, but we did it in Spanish. And yes, this is a great album cover. And this album is more rooted in like the story. I found out that it's based on Succession, which is great because that's actually a series I used to watch on HBO. So I'm surprised that it was meant through that. So this is not an album that I would say singles. This is an album that you have to listen from front to back. But my favorite tracks, I think, would be Paragraph 1, Paragraph 2, Paragraph 4, and Paragraph 6. Those are the highlights for me of this record. And, it's a great album. If you're an Opeth fan and you missed the growls, well, the growls are back, people, back in full effect. So at number 8, I have an artist that I thought that was not going to make a comeback, because back in 2020, when he released his last album, there was a lot of allegations made by some ex-partners from him. So I didn't think that he was going to put out an album, but he's back and he's being very successful, and it's Marilyn Manson. And I covered this album with Señorita Sabrosura, One Assassination, Under God, Volume 1. And what can I say about this record? This is the best Marilyn Manson record since 2003's Hollywood. I think it was 2003 or 2002. I may be mistaken on the year. But, it captures all the essence of Manson. You've got songs that remind me of Antichrist Superstar with Not If You Understand. Raise the Red Flag was a great single. Also, you have the tracks that are more danceable. And what I think Marilyn Manson does great here, I think he's got some great musicians backing him up, and he sounds energized and not tired, like he was sounding on some of his last albums. And I think there's an element of danger that was missing through his last record. So I think this is a very great comeback. There's only one album that I think is a better comeback, But you got songs like One Assassination Under God, which starts the record, is more moody affair. I love Sacrilegious, which is the more danceable track with Meet Me in Purgatory. But yeah, a great album that I'm not going to talk about all tracks because I reviewed this with Señorita Sabrosura and we went deep into this record. So yeah, judging the music and not obviously the man, musically, this is a great comeback record. And I think Marilyn Manson's strongest record in years. That's why I have it at number 8. So coming in at number 7 is a band from Houston, Texas, and I've seen them live. And it's a band that I think is very underrated band, and this is a great album. I'm talking about Oceans of Slumber. And Oceans of Slumber are a band that mixes prog with some death metal elements, and it's Where Gods Fear to Speak. This is the latest record from the band, and it's a concept record. So it feels like very cinematic. The band said that the album is very cinematic, and the best things about this band is Cami Gilbert, which is the vocalist. I think she changed her name because she married the drummer from the band. And on this record, Cami sounds great. I think it's one of her best vocal performance up to date. There's even a cover of Wicked Game by Chris Isaak at the end, which has been covered in the past by bands like him. But I like this cover because it's more piano-based and Cami's vocals really shine. But tracks that really do it for me in this album, the album opener, Where Gods Fear to Speak, is great. You got Don't Come Back from Hell. You got Points of Ecstasy and I Will Break the Pride. Great songs all around. This is a record that's also meant to be listened from front to back. It almost made my top 5, but there's a few albums that I liked a little bit more than this. But nonetheless, this is, I think, the best Oceans of Slumber album to come out yet. So we got to see what the band does next. And they put this out on Season of Mist. I got the promo for Season of Mist after they did the interviews. I wish I could have interviewed the band, but maybe for their next album, I'll get to interview the band. So coming in now at the last album that we're going to talk about, number 6, is a band that is legendary for a lot of reasons. So this band has been around since, I think, the 70s, and it's a band that has been very successful. Their lead singer is a legend. And there was a time that I liked Iron Maiden more than this band, but I think that recently this band has been just doing better albums. I'm talking about the one and only Judas Priest. And their last album is called Invincible Shield. So yeah, this is an album that I gotta say, I didn't know I was gonna like as much. I like their last album, Firepower, but I think this one is even better than Firepower. And here's the album cover. Obviously, I reviewed this album on the channel. The best thing about this album, I love the opening track, Panic Attack, when it goes like Panic Attack, and it's building and building. You got great tracks like Invincible Shield, The Serpent and the King, Devil in Disguise, Crown of Horns, which is, I didn't like it as much at the beginning, but it's grown on me. And you got great songs like Trial by Fire. The singles on this album are amazing. And the only thing I would say that this album on the deluxe edition is a little bit too long with 14 tracks, but the production on this record is great. I think this is the most traditional heavy metal album that came out this year. And having a band where like almost everyone is near their 80s, because I think Rob Halford is 80 or 81, is quite impressive. His voice is as great as ever. He's hitting those high notes. And it's just impressive, there may be not a lot of whole experimentation on this record, but you know what? I don't give a fuck. I like it that they're doing Judas Priest and doing it super well. The guitar solos on this record are top notch. And that's why I have it at my number 6. You know, it's just an amazing record for the band, and a band that is not slowing down. And, you know, it's quite impressive. So that's why it had to be on my list. So coming up next, the final video of the year for The Shield on a Couch, my top 5 albums of the year, or our top 5 albums of the year, because I'll do that video with Señorita Sabrosura, and she'll give her top 5, and I'll give my top 5, and it should be interesting. So watch out for that. So tell me, what do you think about my picks from 10 to 6? Comment. Do you like these albums? Have you heard them? And let me know, what would you have on your list. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.